Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I literally have a real life, in person rock star on the show. Her name is Juls. Her last name is Bindi. And Jules is she's been on Shark Tank, y'all. Like she's been on like it's supposedly the most humorous, funny Shark Tank that's ever occurred or something. We're going to find out more about that when we talk to Jules here in a minute. But I would like you to all do me a big old favor, and I would like you to please share this out with everybody you know, no matter what platform you're on. Share this out because we have the entrepreneur of entrepreneurs on the show today. Jules is there's a technical term for it. She's considered a badass in a lot of circles. So I would like for you to please share this out so you guys can be inspired and hear what it's like to go from zero to hero. Please share it out and stay with us. We will be right back. And we are back. Let me bring Jules to the stage. If she unmutes her mic, there she is. Okay. Jules, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ken.
I'm so excited to have you on here. You and I had a wonderful conversation the other day. Somebody referred you to me. Who was that?
Aaron Yeager. Yeah.
Aaron. Yes.
Love that guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's awesome. So, Jules, I've done this now for over 6 years. I've interviewed some amazing people. And after talking to you, I thought she might be one of the top ones after this. I don't know. We'll see. No pressure.
Thanks.
Yeah. But so I started this show though for very selfish reasons. I started this to have my own breakthrough because I was stuck in life and with a couple of things, and it worked. It definitely worked. So I always like to start with you sharing with everybody where you were born and raised, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and so I was born and raised in San Jose, and also I was in Salinas, Monterey County, a lot with my grandparents.
Okay.
They had a ranch there. It was 70 acres. And so I was like that wildling child, like always running off. And it's like, you remember those commercials back in the day? Do you know where your children are? And it was 10 p.m.
Yep.
Those kids. And I was like, I'm back.
Yeah. At 11.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, born and raised in San Jose, always went to Monterey with my family. And I was, after I turned, 19, left Salinas. My grandpa had Alzheimer's, was having a really difficult time for 10 years. And then once he passed away, I ended up moving to Fresno, California. I had no idea where I was going, obviously. So I picked Fresno, picked a map of I picked 3 places in the map of California. And I said, I'm going to move to each place I choose with my eyes closed for 1 year, no matter what. First place I picked was Fresno.
Wow.
Place was San Diego. Third place was Los Angeles. And then I didn't leave Los Angeles until I, ended up getting married, met the guy at Burning Man, then came to Austin, and now I'm in Austin, Texas.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And that guy's still at Burning Man?
Let's say I hope so. Just kidding.
Oh my God. That's funny.
He's alive.
He's alive.
He's alive.
Oh my God. So did you go to college?
I went to a lot of junior colleges. I was not really good with school. My academics were terrible. I barely graduated high school. I was that kid before graduating. They're like, hey, you have a little bit longer, like 6 months until you are, you get to graduate. And I was like, well, like, you're not going to graduate unless you do Saturday school, homeschool, after school. And I was like, really? They're like, yes, you have to take this many courses in order to make up for it. And I was like, okay. So I literally crammed in, I think, a year and a half worth of school in 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you did better than me because they came to me with a very similar message, and I said, I'm not doing that. I'll see you later. And I left. I did. And you know what? That piece of paper's meant nothing to me in life. So, in fact, I was just talking about somebody about this the other day. Like, I can't recall the last time I used algebra was when I helped my daughter with her algebra homework. Like, it's not real life.
I think I failed statistics 4 times.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So in college,
that is statistically impossible.
Proven.
That's so awesome. So okay. So you ended up. Let's see. You were in. So you moved. Did you move to Fresno ever?
Yes, I moved. I lived in Fresno for a year, and I ended up. I was like a professional waitress, you can say. I mean, the service industry while I was taking 17 units of school. So I worked at Olive Garden in Buca di Beppo, and I would change my clothes in the car, go from one job to another job. And I didn't realize that I actually had potential and could have actually worked at a better restaurant at that time. So I was like, let me toss your salad and give you some breadsticks. Like,
oh my God.
I was known to be the only person that can sell the $100 bottle of wine at every single Olive Garden that I've ever worked at.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Chicken
That's
marsala.
crazy.
The chicken marsala just every single time.
That's so. Hey, you know what though? Let's just be honest here. Olive Garden has the best salad in the world.
That dressing.
That dressing is like crack. I swear. I think they put something in it that makes you. So okay. So you obviously like Italian food because I see the theme. They were both Italian restaurants. But you lived in Fresno. Then you said you went to San Diego.
Yes, I ended up going. San Diego was the second place I chose on the map of California. And
okay.
So I ended up moving there, and in Fresno, I ended up getting involved. I ended up having started my first production company business called Beleza Productions, where I threw massive raves, like massive parties, where I'd find nonprofit organizations, I'd contact them, use their liquor license, and donate proceeds to their organization so we can have liquor legally at the parties. And they would be like, I would say 1,500 to 2,000 people at the events. And but my first event I ever threw, when I was 16 years old, I started my first club called the Bad Puppy. It was Monday nights in San Jose at the Cactus Club because I really wanted a place to dance with my friends. So that was my first business venture with some friends.
You're talking like that kind of rave stuff?
It was more of like breakdancing type of stuff. Like I used to try with my friends the Fisherman's Wharf and breakdance for money.
What?
Yeah, I used to be a little beat girl growing up.
You need to turn the blur off and do a little bit of breakdancing for us. I'm kidding.
Oh,
you're like, no, that ain't happening. Yeah. So when so you lived so San Diego's beautiful, by the way, like it's really beautiful. So how long were you in San Diego? Did you say that?
Yeah, I was in there for like, I would say 3 years. And that's when I got into, some modeling, some acting. I, did that whole thing for a while, and I just didn't feel really aligned to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you ended up in LA.
I ended up in LA, and it was because of the acting. I ended up doing this TV show called Veronica Mars as an extra and got bumped up very fast. I got SAG within, I think, 1 week of being on the show as an extra. Wow. So I was like, oh, let's do LA. This is so easy. Woo! The whole
oh my God.
Yeah, it was really bad. So I ended up going to LA, and my adventure in LA started, and I was on a lot of sets, and I was miserable. I was literally miserable. I
Yeah.
was pretty much known for getting, I think, kicked off of every single extra set known to mankind. Also,
Oh my God.
yeah, because I was the hype.
Why?
I don't know. I've been fired from almost every single job I've ever had. So I'm like, I get to create my own job and become an
Are
entrepreneur.
you a troublemaker?
Some people call it troublemaker. Some people call it other things, such as innovative, visionary.
Right. Right. We feel you're such a visionary that you should probably go visionary somewhere else.
Yes, exactly.
That's so funny.
Olive Garden said, I don't know. Wait, no, sorry. No, it was I worked at, what is that place called? Outback Steakhouse for a while. And they were like,
Oh.
you seem like more of a Chevy's girl. I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so funny. Break dancing. Now that is an oxymoron. Okay. So you, how long were you in LA? How many years?
Wow. So I moved to LA, I believe it was 2023. And then I moved out of LA 2017 and then came to Austin. And
Hold
LA,
it.
wow, that was a journey for
Wait,
me.
you said 2023,
Oh, sorry.
2003?
2003. And then I moved to Austin in, 2003. And I moved to Austin in 2017.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So you were there for a minute, 14 years.
Yeah. I ended up not doing the whole acting thing and got into massage therapy. And
Okay.
so I ended up going to massage therapy school, Monterey County, and that's where my whole life, my whole trajectory ended up changing into something I never could have possibly even imagined.
Okay. Well, that's okay. How? Tell everybody how it changed, where it changed, and massage therapy. Wow. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my mom was like, you're really good. You're really good with your hands. Maybe you should just not do acting and modeling. Just go do something that's actually stable. It's like, okay.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, if I'm going to go do massage, I'm going to be the best massage therapist this world's ever seen. And like, that's the whole, creator, visionary type of, 7 profile in Enneagram. So it tells you a lot.
Wow.
And so I ended up doing massage school. And so after massage school, I immediately said, how am I going to get the clients that I want? So I ended up saying, well, celebrities and whatnot, they love playing poker. And I love playing poker. I was really good at playing poker. I mean, really, where I'd win a lot of home games and, a lot of home games.
Okay.
Where they're like, oh, shark. So I ended up joining a company where it was like dealer dolls. And so I'd go to these high-end poker game places and I would deal poker. And then after I was done, I'd say, hey, would anyone like a massage? And then everyone's like, I would love a massage. So my technique is very specific, very deep tissue, intentional, energetic. And they were like, oh my God, your hands are amazing. Like, I would love to hire you. What do you charge? And at the time I was $200 an hour. They're like, $200 an hour? It's like, yeah, if it's not the best massage you've ever had, it's free. So I kept getting a lot of clients and I've never not paid somebody for a massage. Like, no, someone's never not paid me for a massage. And with that, like, if it's not the best massage you've ever had, it's free. And my name kept getting spread around. And then next thing you know, I started getting calls from random celebrities. And I was like, oh my God, the first one that was really funny was, I think Janet Dickinson. I don't know if you remember her, an old supermodel, first known as the first supermodel ever.
Okay.
She ended up calling me and she's like, I heard you're the best. Come over. I'm like, okay. So then through the whole massage, she was just calling her friends, telling her like, oh my God, this girl's amazing. And you name them, I probably had them on my table, big names. And unfortunately, one of those names was Harvey Weinstein on my table. And that's a whole other story. I like that clear throat. I like that clear throat, Ken.
So, what is that?
Oh, my matcha green tea latte.
Oh my God.
It's fantastic.
Did somebody just ring your doorbell?
Someone just ring this. Okay. It's delivery people. Sorry. It's my dog, Willow.
That dog sounds vicious. So, are you comfortable sharing that or no?
Yeah, of course. So so when I ended up uh, not knowing who he like what he was about or anything about him, I showed up, and that massage, he ended up sexually assaulting me. And yeah, so I was one of the silent girls for a very long time.
Uh,
In 2017, I'm going to skip a lot. In 2017, the New York Times article came out, and I told some friends, very high up friends, what happened years ago. And they said, Jules, now is time. Now is the time. So after the New York Times article came out, 2020 flew out to Los Angeles. I'm sorry, to Austin. And they interviewed me, and I decided to come out in a very public way before the Me Too movement happened to speak publicly about what happened with Harvey. And then after it aired, the Me Too movement ended up coming out.
wow.
Yeah. So then I was actually one of the I was one of the there was 5 women that came out, decided to press charges with the DA as Jane Does. I was one of the Jane Does, but only 4 of us actually went through the Los Angeles trial to press charges against him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you did press charges and you were no longer a Jane Doe, I guess.
Yeah. So it was interesting. The Los Angeles Times and Criminal Law, they did not keep my name private. The New York Times, Vanity Fair, amazing outlets. They still said I was a Jane Doe. And Los Angeles and Criminal Law said it doesn't matter because she came out publicly on 2020. Even though I
Yeah.
didn't want to have my name attached to it, they still mentioned my name in all the articles, which they're like, that's what they said. She already wasn't a Jane Doe. It was public, but nobody would have known. It's
Right.
not people pay attention that closely to certain degrees unless you are a reporter, unless you are somebody who is, wanting to discuss this and blog about it or whatnot.
And since I don't watch mainstream media at all, like, and I haven't for many, many years. So obviously I've heard of Harvey Weinstein, but I do not know, like, and I don't know if there's a lot of people watching that know about that whole situation, but that's horrifying. I'm so sorry that happened.
Yeah, thank you. I knew stepping forward, there wasn't going to be, the chances of us getting conviction for myself because it was sexual assault was minimal. I mean, it was
Yeah.
possibly, less than a 5% chance. But it was different because when I stepped forward, the other women ahead of me, Jane Doe 1 and 2, they were raped. So, people can say it was just sexual assault. Sexual assault is sexual assault. You're still violated. But for me, I practice forgiveness. I'm an emotional intelligence coach. I, write EQ kid books, emotional intelligence children's books. It's like I've already processed a lot of this stuff.
Right.
For me, about it wasn't about justice for myself. It was about coming forward for the other women who weren't able to, that
Yeah.
a lot of transactions did take place because of the assaults that happened, and they were too scared. They had families, they have careers. And I know a lot of other women that were assaulted by him or even, raped by him, that they couldn't come forward because they're like, there's no way I'm going to have my name attached to this man. And that is the
Wow.
discussion that you have is, if you Google my name, it does come up, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it's like, for my point being is like, I really didn't care anymore. I have no attachment to him or to the story anymore.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
for you.
And that's what I support with women too and coach women with. If they've been sexual assaulted or raped, like when I was 4, I witnessed my sister getting molested in front of me, but I spoke
Uh,
out for her, but I didn't speak out for myself for a very long time.
right.
So my little, Jiminy Cricket was saying, what gives you the right to protect others and not protect yourself? And
Right.
that's another whole inner dialogue that we can talk for years about
Sure.
self-worth and people pleasing and all of that. So
Yeah. So talk about, I mean, we do very similar things, you and I. I work with a lot of people in a very similar fashion. I personally can't stand using the word coach. Because like you turn the corner, oh, there's another coach today in on today's internet. But you I like to say that I help people get out of their way and change their own lives, you know. But so talk about for you personally, because that's a lot of emotional trauma. Um, and I do know from experience that, you know, we have this tendency of repeating these stories in our heads over and over and over and over about the negative side of whatever went wrong in life, right? Regardless of what the situation is. And you know, you've heard the saying, God will never give you more than you can handle. I'm like, why does he believe in me so much? That's crazy. Like, what the heck? But you know, so you obviously realized at some point that you were carrying this heavy weight, I would imagine. How did you address it? What were the steps that you took to go, okay, I'm gonna do something about this and change my whatever was going on? What did you do? What were the steps you took?
Well, number one, I got exhausted of me talking in the victim voice. Like,
Come on.
I'm just kind of like, I'm like, if I'm annoyed listening to my inner self talk, then imagine how people are annoyed listening to me. And I was just like, I was done. And I was like, how do I change this? Then you go to the self-help books, right? And the self-help books is like, this is something that I'm going to say, if you can't help yourself, how is self-help books going to help you? Because you're literally reading a self-help book, but how often do people really are really that disciplined to really do what the book says and to pause and journal and stop? You already don't have discipline because that's why you're a victim. You're in that victim mentality. So what my suggestion is, well, what I did for myself, I should say what I did that was supportive of myself. I joined a program and where I was integrated with a whole bunch of other victims. And then you have a coach that supports you and walks you through the victim mindset and changing your stories. So for instance, like Ken, I'd say, here's an example, like what I do is, I talk to somebody and say, okay, I want you to tell me a situation and a circumstance, and I want you to prove to me that you're a victim. Prove to me. So they'll walk you through, like, like this happened to me or this and this Harvey and blah, 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 blah. Like I use this, like I'm a victim. Say, okay, now I want you to tell me that story and taking full accountability and ownership. I'm like, oh God, okay. So full accountability and ownership. I was scared. I didn't speak up sooner. I could have said something immediately. When I was leaving that hotel, I could have called the police. I could have done this. I could have just dropped my career and never had any, celebrity work, work for another celebrity in my whole entire life. I could have done something else, but I didn't, and that's okay. So what I'm appreciative of and what I love is because that happened for me in my life, I was able to activate my voice. I was able to stand up for other women who couldn't stand for themselves. We were able to start a Me Too movement that never would have possibly happened if it wasn't for Harvey, because he was the catalyst of this. So he sacrificed himself, you can say, in order to be the name of the Me Too movement, to be the martyr for us to hang somebody for it.
He went to prison, right?
Yeah, he's in prison right now. I
he's
don't
still alive.
He's still, as far as I know, I probably would have gotten some calls if he died. So yeah.
Wow.
He's fighting to get out still. And there's a lot of stuff's happening, but I don't watch the news, as we spoke about before. And I'll get phone calls from people and media trying to interview me. And I hear from everyone else. So
wow.
Yeah, I don't.
And you're on my show. That's crazy. How awesome is that?
Hi.
I'm honored. So you obviously went through the healing process of dealing with this, which is just awesome. You and I talked about this. We talked a long time the other day. Like,
we did.
A long time. But I think that things happen to people in life, like the trauma you experienced watching what happened to your sister, and then the Weinstein crap, and people go through life and they keep it a secret. They don't share it with anybody, and they just stuff that down inside, and then they go through life wondering why nothing ever works out for them. And they do, you said it, and I'm not talking just women, I'm talking women and men that go through these things traumatically, and they just can't seem to figure life out. And so what are some of the things that you do, because I know you do some amazing things to help people get unstuck, which is the original name of the show was going to be Getting Unstuck. And my wife said, why wouldn't you use your last name? He went, no.
Yeah, right.
So it's yeah. So hence Breakthrough Walls. She's much smarter than me. But so what are some of the things you do to help people, kind of work through all this stuff they're going through or have been through?
Yeah. So what I say is we start with our children. And there's another long story with my company ZuGoBike, with my ex-partner. But when that company ended up going through its downfall for a little bit, the first fall, I was like, well, what am I going to do with my life? And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to write emotional intelligence children's books. So I ended up writing. I'm at 13 books right now,
Wow.
and one of my books is right here. This one's.
I'm going to give you full screen.
This one's My Body, My Rules. And
Love it.
My Body, My Rules is all about, what's rules for your body as a child, right? Because even us as adults, we don't even know our rules for our bodies. Like what is your rules, Ken? So we don't realize that. So I ended up writing these books. This was the first one I published. There's only have one that's published right now. The other ones I'm putting on standby, because this is my biggest mission, is the My Body, My Rules.
Right.
And when parents are reading these books to their children, they're not just teaching their children, as they're learning as well, because wow, the parents don't come up with any solutions. They just do reflective listening. What's reflective listening? Making sure your child feels seen, heard, understood, and not giving them solutions, because we all have the solutions for everything inside of our own minds, but we're not giving people chances to figure it out on their own, because we always think our answers is the answer.
Right.
So that's when deep programming happens in our bodies for our children and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I do is, I write children's books, and I end up making all these. I have a stuffy collection that I'm coming out with, and all of it goes to EQ Kid Books, which I ended up making into a nonprofit organization, to where whenever you buy a book, I donate a book, and I donate to foster care programs, schools, underprivileged children who do not have the ability to buy emotional intelligence children's books. Yeah. Because the 16-year-old who molested my sister, was a foster care child, and he was adopted by our neighbors. And so energetically, I'm like, this gets to be addressed and supported. It's not that I'm not angry at him anymore. I was angry at him for a very long time, but now I'm appreciative. I appreciate him of what he did for my sister and I. It was a huge craziness of like what happened in our family. Yeah. My sister went to, drugs, but we both didn't get touched. We were both virgins till we're, in our early 20s. Yeah. Went the opposite direction. So I'm very appreciative of him for that. And we don't know his story. As a foster care child, what happened to him? What happened to him? Was he molested? Was he hurt? Was he touched? Right. He was abandoned by his family. Maybe his family died. I don't know. I don't know his story. I've never asked. But moving to yourself into that state of the other person's mind, where they think it's okay to do that to another child, that's where we get to start.
Yeah.
Not beating, not by being upset. And, it's about the self-love and projections like, wow, I am so sorry you thought this was okay. And that's one really powerful thing that we can do if you have been hurt or injured by somebody is, damn, like they thought that was okay.
Yeah. Right. No, I get that. I think that, again, there's a lot of people meandering about on this planet. And when I say a lot, I'm talking about the majority are wandering about on this planet doing their 9 to 5 or whatever, that do have that victim mindset, that why me, poor me, and instead of what you just said a minute ago, like owning it and owning your power and knowing that you have the ability to change it and literally do anything. That's one of the things I love about Grant Cardone. He's a mentor and friend of mine, and he's like, he taught his children from a very young age, and I taught my children too, that I can do anything. There's anything is possible in this world, and too many people are walking around with that victim mindset and they don't even realize it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they don't even realize it's happening.
Yeah.
It's just such an auto thing.
Yeah. It's like my daughter, she's 6 years old. And, when she was younger, she'd be like, I can't do it. Like trying to do something. I was like, you can do it. How about, let's just try this. Let's try, I can. So now literally when she's struggling, I can do it. Even though she's crying and screaming, I can do it. Then she does it. And we do a big celebration. And it's, she's frustrated and she wants to say that she can't, but she knows she can. And I'm not the mom that goes over there and supports and does it for her. I stand by, I stand close. You can do it. You can do it. And then even if she can't, like, this great question right here right here is like, how are you implementing this process in your own life regarding thinking and behaving daily? This is one of them. Is I'm not here to solve other people's problems. I'm here to support. Right. So my daughter's going through a situation and she's falling, she's tripping, she's about to give up. I'm not going to be there and be like, do it for her. I'm like, honey, let's take a break. Let me hold you. Let me regulate your body and let me regulate my body too. Because normally I would, if I raised my child how my dad raised me, which I was abused. He was an alcoholic. I was physically, verbally, mentally abused by him constantly. Like I didn't know if he was going to hit me or hug me.
Right.
So and that's another thing that I'm doing daily practices is I catch myself when I'm wanting to yell and scream of my old programming. And I basically tell my daughter, I'm like, listen, mommy's extremely dysregulated right now. I get to leave for about 5 minutes. I'm going to set the timer. Here's my phone. The timer goes off. I'm going to come back out. Are you okay? She's like, I'm okay. Set the timer. I leave the room, close my door. I do whatever I have to do in my room. She can't hear. Scream in the pillow, hit the pillow, whatever it is, breathe, meditate. And I'm telling you, I don't know your name, Gmail.
It's Mark.
So literally, like Mark, I'm regulating my nervous system because my daughter's not going to do what I say. She's going to do what I do. And if I'm regulating my nervous system, which just happens daily, it's, I'm a single mom, so it's very, sometimes it's difficult. And I do the work. So I have more responsibility than other people. So if you're going out in the public and, you're seeing someone that's having some breakdowns, you are the responsible one because you do the work.
Right.
So that's how I do it every single day. And I also fail. I mean, I'll sometimes accidentally like break down and scream at my child. And I'm like, oh my God, my old programming. But then I repair. Seiji, I am so sorry. Mommy was dysregulated. I could have walked away. I just want to apologize you for yelling at you. I'm so sorry. You don't need to say you forgive me, but just want to let you know that I love you and I'm so sorry. And what does she say? I love you, Mommy. It's okay. Honey, it's not okay.
Right.
No, it's not okay. And I'm really sorry. And let's talk about radical ownership. And that's what I do. And that's how I practice. I practice radical ownership every single day.
I love that. It's, in fact, excuse me, one of my favorite books is called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield and Janet Schweitzer. And it's the very first principle in the book is, and there's 67, I think. The very first principle in that book is take 100% responsibility for everything happening in your life, everything. And he gets like, they go really deep on it and they go, you were rear-ended at a stop sign. Take responsibility for that. How's that my fault? Just take responsibility. What if you would have left earlier or a few minutes later? And it sounds silly to take responsibility on that level, but when you do, life is magical. Like like you can't be somebody else's victim. You can't, like, it's not possible. Like when you just own the responsibility of everything going on in your life. And I love that. So, and there's a story Tony Robbins tells about, I think it's in Awaken the Giant Within. He tells this story about a woman that comes in his office for a one-on-one, and he sits down, and she goes into this diatribe of, oh my God, this happened, and she's crying, and and he said, I slam my hand down on the desk and go, stop it, we haven't begun. and and he said, and she had a total shift in that moment of, and like she completely stops crying. Like she had a total emotional shift. So it is possible to instantaneously shift your energy. And I knew I was going to love having you on the show because this is my jam. I love this stuff. So talk about, and you mentioned the e-bike company. Talk about the, I have a suspicion that Burning Man comes into this somehow, but anyway, so talk about the e-bike company, and I'd love to hear you talk about your experience with Shark Tank, which is a totally different, but talk about it. I want to hear this. Well, the entrepreneurial stuff. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually have to start with ZuGoPet before I start with ZuGoBike, because it was like the seed that grew the apples in order for me to do more planting and be able to, like, eat the other apples before I plant.
Right.
So when I was in Los Angeles, when I was doing the massage therapy and stuff, so what happened was I started making a lot of money, and the money just didn't come in just from the massage. It also came in from poker massages. So I continued to do that. I don't know. Do you know who Molly Bloom is?
I know the name.
Yeah. So I ended up working for Molly Bloom for a while with her poker games, high-end poker games, where they were in Los Angeles. And then we also ended up flying to New York. And so that happened for a while, where I was making, thousands and thousands of dollars a night. Like, I mean, sometimes 15 to 20,000, depends on who was playing.
In one night?
Yeah, in one night.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was literally like working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. massaging nonstop. It was a lot of work. I mean,
oh my gosh.
And so I ended up listening to what they were saying at the games, like about investing and, real estate and, anything like that. So I'm like, oh, I want to learn this stuff. So then I started investing in real estate and got, some properties, did house flips, triplexes, and, learned about REOs, tax defaulted properties. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to not just do massage my whole life. I want to invent something. So my dog had motion sickness and anxiety in the car. So I wanted to invent a bag that could support him with his sickness. So I ended up inventing, my first thing was called Jet Setter. It was a product, it's still on my website. We're sold out right now, but it's a 7 product in one. I ended up doing GoFundMe's, not GoFundMe, Kickstarters. The other stuff, the Indiegogos. Did a small raise, and then ended up doing that. And then, so this woman ended up contacting me who saw my stuff, was like, I have this product. It's, this thing, you put this dog in, and it's like, great, let me look at it. So I saw it, and I was like, this is the most ridiculous looking product I've ever seen. I love it. I want to license it to you. And so I ended up getting the product from her, licensing it under my company, ZuGoPet. So ZuGoPet was the pet company. So I ended up doing what I said I was going to do. I ended up doing the manufacturing, the molds in China. So I've been doing manufacturing and imports now since 2013. So when going to China, doing all that stuff myself, and exploring the manufacturing world, I ended up creating, obviously now I named this thing called the Rocketeer Pack. So I had Jet Setter and Rocketeer Pack. And this Rocketeer Pack, I ended up distributing this to Pet Insider. Pet Insider contacted me and said, we love your product. We would like to talk about your Jet Setter and Rocketeer Pack. And so I gave them my video footage. They ended up making their own video, and they released it on Thanksgiving 2000, I think it was 2018-ish or 17 or something like that.
Wow.
Released it, and it went so viral. I mean, so viral that every single company on Facebook was contacted, like the Gorilla and like all these people, like, we want like Unilad or Unibible, whatever they're called. I ended up getting over 1 billion views on my product in under over 1 billion. I ended up getting the Scholars Book of World Record for the most viral pet video.
Oh my God.
By Shark Tank. And so during this whole process, when I was doing this, the ZuGoPet, we're going to Burning Man, right? So I ended up meeting my ex-husband at Burning Man, and
Yeah.
we're like, he was like, well, you know, these bikes are falling apart. And we're like, let's manufacture our own bikes. I know how to do it. So we
Oh
ended
my
up
God.
building a bike, and we're like, okay, we get to sell these bikes. So obviously, I have a lot of friends and a lot of friends that love Burning Man. So I'm like, do you guys want to buy an e-bike from me? They're like, Jules, we'll buy anything from you. I'm like, okay, great. So I ended up
Wow.
e-bikes, and everyone loved them at the burn. They didn't break down. They didn't even have to charge them. The capacity of these bikes were just insane. People were like, this is crazy. Like, my friend wants one. My friend wants one. I was literally, Ken, selling e-bikes off of my pet website.
Oh my
I had a
God.
listing page on ZuGoPet. So we named the company originally Zugo Electric. Then we just changed to Zugo Bike. And
Wow.
so then we started manufacturing from 60 bikes to 90 to 100 to 200 to 600 to 900 to 1,000. And we had containers coming in every week. We
Oh
ended up
my
scaling
God.
that business in under 3 years, so like 20 million. And
What?
yeah, it was a lot. So then we started scaling the company, we started moving it, and then so Zugo Bike was going, and then so uh, I made the decision to just let Zugo Pet run itself in the Rocketeer and just do the fulfillment and have the fulfillment going. And then I wanted to change my manufacturer from China to go to Mexico. So we're in that process right now with Zugo Pet. We're about to relaunch the Rocketeer pack in a new design. And maybe I might do Shark Tank again. Who knows? And like, I'm back, the crazy one. And so with Zugo Bike, we ended up, scaling that company, grew really big, really fast. We had up to, I think it was a 28 weight during like COVID time too, when the whole e-bike thing started exploding as well. But
Wow.
anyways, so during this whole time, Ken, this is where I'm going to slow down a little bit, because this is where the good stuff happens. While we were scaling, I took a step down from the company because I was doing the Harvey trial. The Harvey trial was going a lot
Mm.
often. So
Yeah.
I take a step down for about 6 months from Zugo Bike. And during this time, uh, my ex-husband and I decided we're also going to get a divorce. So I'm going through the trial, took a step down from Zugo, and we decided we're going through the divorce. So we're going through this timeline. Then when I was about to come back, basically the trials, ending, he moves out of the house, and that weekend I was served divorce papers. And when the first time, the next weekend, the first time he had our daughter, and I was served divorce papers, and I was shocked because I'm like, oh, wait, I guess I thought we were going to do conscious coupling. I guess it wasn't. We got married at Burning Man. I'm like, okay, we never even filed. So I'm like, okay, so it was common law marriage.
Oh.
Yeah. So the filing happened, and the next, my email was shut off. My
Oh God.
And I'm like, what is happening here? And my whole life started crashing down. The papers, I couldn't read the paper. I took pictures of them, sent them to my mom and sister. I'm like, what does this say? Like, I don't understand what's happening. So I was in total shock and breakdown. And next thing you know it, the door is closed to Zugo Bike.
Wow.
Doors closed, everything. Everyone was fired. We have over 65 employees and contractors. None of the customers were notified. I mean, I wasn't even notified. The whole company just closed. We had 2 shops, all of them closed in Austin. I was in total shock. And I had over $500,000 of my own money invested in the company as well.
Wow.
He was bankrupting the company. Then he claimed bankruptcy. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? I dedicated 7 years to this. It's gone. I don't know what to do. I was in complete shock. So that's when I ended up writing the books. I was like,
Wow.
I'm like, I realized that I was following someone else's passion and purpose. And this was a repeated thing and pattern that was happening in my life. And
Yeah.
during this time, I was doing emotional intelligence workshops and working on myself. So I pray to, like, thank you, God, thank you, universe, Gaia, Lord, Allah, whatever you believe in, like that I was actually doing the work, because it was bad. It was really bad. For something that would have snowballed to something really negative, I ended up snapping out of it within 2 weeks, where I'm like, get your act together. This is not about you. Stop making things about you. Stop being this person. Take
Yep.
ownership and accountability, and let's go. So that's what happened. So I ended up
Wow.
reading these books, and then I got introduced to an amazing angel, David, and he's a trust attorney. And he's like, Jules, like, I told my whole story because we was going to put my 13 books into a trust. So when we were going through divorce, that he wouldn't be able to get the books. And then
Right.
so he's like, Jules, I used to be a bankruptcy attorney. You have 5 days to place an offer for this company. And I was like, I can buy back the company? He's like, yes. And you have 5 days.
Wow.
He said, if you can do this, raise this much money, I will also be an investor. I was like, how many days? He's like, 5 days. I was like,
Wow.
done. I raised the money.
What?
We placed an offer in for the company, and we ended up in a bidding war against a company called Radius Leads. And Radius, like, not going to go into those details. So when the judge basically said that every single person who is an insider in a company, and an insider is basically somebody who had involvement in the previous company, has to say that they're an insider. So once that was said, that you had to be, your name had to be revealed in court as an insider, Radius Leads ended up disappearing and no longer becoming, a bidder. So they left the bid process.
Wow.
And so next, my factory came in and they started bidding against me. So now
Oh my gosh.
with my factory, who has thousands of my bikes. And so they're trying to fight over the IP because they saw how much money we were making. So I'm in a bidding war with China.
Oh my gosh.
Bidding war with China. And I had more money than my factory from my raise. So I ended up buying back the company, rebuilding, relaunching the brand. It's been going now for a year. Actually, I think it's a year and 3 more days or something like that. And I took full ownership and accountability.
Wow.
I said to my customers, hey, we're back. There were a lot of angry people, still angry people. I got to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Go through all those steps. There's still people that hate ZuGo, the company, because of what happened. But I'm not going to be, this is the first time I've ever said this story publicly. So, hi, guys, this is what happened.
She said, hi.
And, it was a marital dispute in a way. And also the company was really heavy on inventory, and it was bad financial planning.
Yeah.
Bad financial planning, and things could have been handled differently, and it wasn't. And I decided to take a step up and rebuild the company, make my investors happy, and and see what's happening. And that's the ZuGo bike story. And now we have some of the most amazing e-bikes, 2-seater e-bikes, 750-watt motor, and it's amazing brand.
I feel compelled to share something with you that I think is going to motivate you even more. Not that you need it. You're like, they make decaffeinated brands with just as much flavor. So look, Tom Ginn said, I love the fight, because that's what it's about with you. So my buddy Doug Wing is the former owner of the Little Giant Ladder Company. Little Giant was probably the most famous infomercial of all time. His father is the founder of the company, and he passed away in 2012. And long story short, his father had sold the company at one point, and that company that he sold it to pretty much ran it into the ground. His father did something very similar and bought the company back and turned it into the 3rd largest ladder company in the world.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're on your way. Holy crap. You're on your way.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. So ZuGo Bikes is back.
ZuGo Bike is back. Yes.
Okay. ZuGo Bike is back. And can people buy a ZuGo electric bike right now?
Oh yeah. We're up and going. We're selling ZuGoBike.com. It's ZuGo. So ZuGo. This is like where I go, you go, we go, ZuGo.
Okay.
ZuGo. Nobody forgets it when I do that.
I'm going to put that up on the, so it's just, hold on. Let me just type it out. Not equals. ZuGo.
BIKE.com.
That's it.
Yep. ZuGoBike.com. Okay.
We're going to throw that up on the ticker so you get about 1.5 sales from the, I'm kidding. There's 1,890 or 1,901 people watching live right now. So
hi everybody, thanks for joining.
So ZuGoBike.com, people can still buy there. And then I can't run two banners at the same time, but so for people that want to reach out to you and talk about your emotional intelligence,
children's books,
and your coaching and all this stuff. I mean, how do people? What's the best way to contact you?
I guess the best way to contact me is through Instagram. Is my name just Juls Bindi, Juls Bindi.
Okay.
And and the EQ Kid Books is just eqkidbooks.com, and you can get your copy of My Body, My Rules. If you have a child, this is for ages 4 to 12, and if you have somebody who has a niece, a nephew, or a mother that you feel has been maybe wants to bring up it's like difficult conversations made easy for children. And so children actually will start the conversations based upon how the books are written. So they're going to ask more questions. Like one of the rules in the books that I love that one of the children ends up had is nobody can touch my private parts, only me. And that's this one. So no one can touch my private. Oh, it's hard to see. No one can touch my private parts, only me. So all the different kids have their own different rules. It's really hard to see it. And, so that's, you get to read which rule feels in vibrational alignment for the situation. And because a lot of times people and parents, they don't realize something's happening to their child until something like this gets brought up.
So I'm friends with Paul Hutchinson, who is the executive producer of the movie Sound of Freedom. Oh. And he actually is the billionaire business person in the movie. If you've ever seen it, there's a very wealthy businessman that goes undercover, walks away from his business. Paul retired from his business. He went undercover and with the special ops in Colombia, saving children being traded for yeah. And boy, oh boy, when he tells the story and he literally he can't tell the story without tearing up. When he talks about the little girl that's 10 years old being brought to him and and so he's saved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children around the world now. But I think that, that's one big part of, there's a perversion that runs throughout the blood of this world, unfortunately. And I believe spiritually we're in a war, like literally right now. And it's good versus evil, and it's pathetic. My wife, by the way, just popped that up. There's Jill. She popped that up. But we have a battle going on, and I think that the more that we can educate our children through books like yours, and if you would type her spell the website out one more time, I'll have Jill pop that in the comments.
Yeah, it's like IQ, but it's EQ. So
EQ.
It's EQ Kid Books.
eqkidbooks.com.
Yes.
Okay. So Jill will put that in the comments. Thank you. And anybody else, if you're on X and you want to pop that up in the comments, I'll throw it on screen. Make you famous for a few seconds. I'm kidding. So Juls, what's that?
I said, not again.
Yeah.
PTSD with that kind of stuff.
Right. So let me ask you this. Thank you. My wife just put that up there. Let me ask you this. There's been times in my life where, my gosh, I've lost everything. I've been in the position of the electric being shut off or not being able to go to the grocery store, just different things where it's like, man, life can be challenging. And I think for a lot of people right now, especially while we work this whole economy thing out and get it back up and running, I think that a lot of people are hurting. And my question for you, and I'm giving you full screen for this, I expect a really fantastic answer from you. Um, but no, I'm kidding. But like for somebody that's going through it right now, that just can't seem to figure it out. What would you say to them, to that person, if they called you and said, "Look, I can't afford to pay you, but I need help." I'm kidding, but like they're going through all this stuff and they don't know how to get, because I truly believe people freeze. They just freeze.
Yeah.
Like, if I make another move, it's probably going to be wrong, so I'm going to do nothing. And we've all been there. So what would you say to a person that would reach out to you that's going through it all right now? How would you help them turn that around?
Wow, that's a very powerful question. Um, more or less, it's more about what I did for myself in order to get through what I went through. Um, just like trust the process. Just know that this is happening for you. You may not know why. There may not be any type of answer right now, but from my situation, I had no idea how I was going to pay my mortgage. I ended up, through the whole bankruptcy thing, what happened was the banks ended up thinking that I was the one that owed the money through the bankruptcy, and they ended up, I was negative 500. I think it was like $560,000 in my bank, negative. And I
Wow.
literally showed screenshots to my friends, so much so where they're like, "We're going to throw you, we're going to throw you a GoFundMe." It was I there was I it was a levy. A levy was on the wrong account. It was on my account and not my ex's account, and he had no financial anything to do with that account. But because I was paying my mortgage and I was
Wow.
always paying the mortgage, it came from my account. They thought we shared an account, which wasn't true. That ended up
Wow.
getting reversed. But how do you reverse a levy when you have no money, right?
Right.
Hire a lawyer or anything like that. So I'm saying this story is because I ended up going back to massage. I ended up going to the park selling lemonade with my daughter. I mean, I did everything. We were a team, and I ended up cleaning garages. I called some friends. I'm like, "Listen, I will clean your garage and I will do it in 2 hours for this much money." I mean, I was doing everything I possibly could.
Mm.
I didn't care. I was a janitor, I was a sitter, I mean, you name it, I was making sure that I can pay my bills. So there's always something you can do to keep movement going. I'm not saying go on the side of the road and start selling flowers, you know what I mean? But you can go on the side of the road and sell flowers. Like,
Right.
there's always something you can do in order to make yourself feel somewhat stable. But the problem here is, Ken, is when you're going through this, you don't want to get out of bed. You are depressed. Getting that motivation to get your ass out of bed and actually do what I actually did, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of discipline. And a lot of people don't have that. So what I'm telling you, if you are going through that right now, reach out to all of your friends and be honest with them. Tell them what's happening. Nobody can help you unless you open up and tell them your situation and ask for support. And that's the number one thing that people do not do in this life, is ask for help when they need it. And you're not here alone. Stop like lone wolfing. Stop doing that, because we're not here. We're not meant to be here alone. We're here to be in community. So if you are going through this, call a friend. Say, "Can I do some assistant work for you? Can I do something?" Like, get your name out there. Say, "This is what I'm looking for. This is my goal. This is my North Star." And make sure you have that North Star. If you don't have a North Star, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to know where you're going. So
Right.
how do you tell somebody what you need if you don't even know what you need? But sometimes at these points, like when you say you don't have anything, sometimes all you need is a hug. And that's the first step in order to get out of bed. So that's my answer. I hope that was supportive. I don't know what else to say about that. Just start somewhere, make those steps, get that
Yep.
North Star, and just put action to where your manifestations are going to be going and creating.
You just said a word that I absolutely love, and that is manifestations. I've had Dr. Joe Vitale on the show from the movie The Secret. I love him. He talks about Ho'oponopono a lot. He actually has written books on it.
Wow.
Talk a little bit about that, the Ho'oponopono, because he talked about it on the show, but there's 2,000 people watching right now that maybe didn't see Dr. Joe on the show. Talk about my wife loves your advice, by the way. Talk about how that, what you did with that, how it impacted you, what changed, how did it change things for you? Because it's powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's funny that you mentioned him because I first started learning about manifestation with Esther Hicks, with Abraham.
Yep.
And I was completely enthralled with her when I turned 23. And what happened around that time was like 2003, right? Then The Secret came out. And then I was obsessed with The Secret. I mean, The Secret changed my life. But I love it. And it was missing the specific ingredients. The Secret gave you like what manifestation is. But they didn't really basically say how to completely get there. And it was like, just think of what you want, but you get to do action. You get to have action to what your manifestations are that you're creating. For me is like, I'm like, why is all this stuff happening to me? And like, I was a victim and more stuff was happening to me. I was manifesting rape. I was manifesting sexual assault. I was manifesting bad relationships. I was manifesting this. Why am I I was like a loop. I was in a loop of my own trauma, my own life, and I wasn't addressing it. I didn't get it. And then I heard about manifestation, Esther Hicks. I was like, wow, ask and it is given. The emotional guidance scale. The emotional guidance scale is like where you are. If you're depressed, that's like one of the lowest vibrations you can be. And then you can move up in the highest frequency. The highest frequency, as we know, is love, authenticity. But you get to slowly move up where you are. It's like, if I'm angry, that's better than depressed. So I printed this out and I put it on my wall. And I was like, how am I feeling about this situation? Okay, I'm feeling betrayal. Okay, that's better than depressed. So I'm rewarding myself. Good job. You're not depressed. You feel betrayal. This is great. I'm moving up higher. And then you get to focus on what you do want to create. And you get to catch your thoughts. And you have to monitor your thoughts constantly. And it's exhausting. It's like you're reprogramming your neural pathways in order to think and create the life that you want. And you don't even know how to do it. But you have the roadmap of The Secret to say, well, this is what you want. And you get to practice. So it's not instantaneously, thank God. Like you're not getting I want an elephant. Elephant appears, like The Secret said.
Right.
There's a delay, and you should be glad there's a delay.
Yeah.
But I hope that answers your question. It's just, I took one step at a time, and it took a lot of work. It was exhausting.
So what's the mantra that you repeat in Ho'oponopono?
For the financial abundance one?
Yeah.
Okay, I have two. So the one I say is, I am so happy and grateful now that I get paid for what I love to do in large sums of money that come to me quickly and easily in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis for the greater good that I get to keep. And then it's the Gadiel prayer. It's the God of abundance. Gadiel, 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 please assist me in my life right now. Release me from any conscious or unconscious blocks I have about being abundant and prosperous. Help me know that I am worthy and deserving of the best. Give me the clarity I need and the direction to take so I may follow and walk the path that will lead me to abundance and prosperity. So those are the two that I have daily reminders I go off and say every day. So much so where my 6-year-old says the Gadiel prayer.
Wow. That's so awesome. I'm friends with Brian Proctor, the son of Bob Proctor, and I am so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis.
I edited it.
I love that. I love what you did. But that's actually on YouTube. There's an 8-hour version of Bob saying it over and over and over and over and over with music, and I'm now involved in this company called New Calm that has this unbelievable only patented technology in the world that literally is sound frequencies that and the Navy SEALs use it, the FBI uses it, all these different, like 70 some sports teams use it, and it literally rewires your neuro pathways unconsciously. It's so amazing. And it used to be like this $6,000 device at these, universities and federal, but now it's available on an app, and you just put on some freaking headphones and you listen to this and you feel it when you're done. 20 minutes later, you're like, it's incredible. So there's so much cool stuff coming out to help people get through the traumas and really redirect their unconscious mind, which is, as you know, controlling 95% or more of your life. Like you're on autopilot and you don't even realize it.
We're a magnet.
Amen.
We're a magnet to everything, literally everything. Look at the relationships you're attracting. Look who you're dating. Look who, it's all a perfect alignment, and you're asking for it. No matter what, if you think you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. If you're saying so many negative things, that's what you're going to attract, is the negative things. Yeah. And if you change your mindset, be like, wait a second. Like, no, this is what I want. Stop talking into what you don't want. Talk into what you do want. It's kind of like telling a kid, don't touch that. Don't touch that. What are they hearing? Touch that.
Right.
Oh, come over here. Come over here. Play with this. Play with this toy. And you get to change that wording. The universe doesn't understand no.
Right. It's true. It's true. It's true. I absolutely love everything that you're doing. I'm a fan of e-bikes. I have 2 of them. I don't have ZuGo bikes, unfortunately, but I do have, and they're amazing. So definitely go to ZuGoBike.com and check out what Juls is doing. And what do they sell for? I'm curious what yours sell for.
Depends on the amp hours. We have a 15.6 amp hours, so it's like a 16 amp hour, and a 21 amp hour battery. So the 21 amp hour goes for $2,600, and then the 16 amp hour goes for $2,000, and it's a 2-seater as well. It's like a 2-seater, fat tire, 750 100-watt motor, 1200 peak. I mean, it's like Shimano shifter, large chain ring, so you can actually pedal your bike when you're going down the hill like 30 miles an hour.
Wow.
So, throttle, pedal assist. It's like it's amazing e-bike, and it definitely, it should be a definitely higher priced e-bike. And don't forget the tariffs are coming in. So everything that you guys are getting now, whatever you want, buy it now, because prices are going to be raising if these tariffs stay in place.
I don't think the tariffs will. They're negotiating. That's all they're doing. Yeah. But yeah, I do think that people need to. You're right. I think that if you're gonna do something, do it now. So just in case. Yeah. But Juls, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience before we have 2,057 people watching live right now? Pretend for a moment that we have all 8 billion people on the planet watching, and I give you a mic and I give you full center stage, and you have to say something to inspire all the people on the planet to change their life and move it in a better direction. What would you say to all 8 billion people right now?
Forgiveness. I mean, forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools you can ever have on this lifetime. And that's how I survived, is forgiving not only people that you feel has done things to you, just making sure that it's happening for you, and being grateful for everything that you feel has caused trauma in your life, because you're absolutely perfect where you are and who you are right now. And forgiveness is the number one tool that you personally deserve to have, because once you forgive yourself, you can start forgiving others. And once you forgive others, you really truly move into authenticity. And authenticity is the most highest vibration you could ever possibly have. And just move out of that victim mentality, because especially women out there that has been hurt, that has been raped, that has been touched, violated by somebody. When you do not forgive yourself or move into the forgiveness for that person, they're still touching you. And you have the power to not give your power away. I swear to God, it's possible. It's possible. I've done it, and I've helped other women do it as well. So you can do it. Just know that you have the power to hold your power or give it away anytime you choose. It's your choice.
I love that. That's amazing. You just reminded me of one of my favorite stories of all time. Was Dr. Wayne Dyer tells a story about these two Buddhist monks walking along this mountainside road, and they came, and there's a cliff on one side, a mountain on the other, and they came up to this ginormous mud puddle, and the only way to keep going is to go through the mud puddle. And there's a woman standing there with a long dress on, and she's like contemplating what to do. And without even thinking about it, one of the monks picks the woman up, carries her across the mud puddle, and sets her down on the other side. She goes on her journey, and the other monk comes through the mud puddle, and they're walking along, and there's this really negative energy coming off of the monk that didn't pick her up. And he finally breaks silence, and he says, "How dare you touch a woman? You know that's forbidden in our religion. How could you have done that?" And the monk that picked her up looks at him and says, "I put that woman down back at the mud puddle. You're still carrying her." That reminds me of what you just said. That just complete. I love that. So stop carrying all the shit you don't have to. You don't have to carry it. I love that.
Yeah.
Love it, Jules. You're awesome.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Everybody watching, go to Instagram and follow Jules. I'm going to pop her Instagram handle back up on the screen. It's at Juls Bindi, Bindi, and Jules is Juls. So it's JulsBindi for those of you listening on the podcast networks. Follow Jules on Instagram, reach out to her, buy her e-bikes, buy her. Do you still have the pet stuff? You still have the pet stuff.
I will be launching the Rocketeer pack very soon. We're going to be crash testing our new sample soon.
That's awesome. So,
and most importantly, this book,
the book
is most important, and it's a lot cheaper than an e-bike, and it brings the mission where my body, my rules. You get to decide.
So that's at www.eqkidbooks.com. For those of you listening, eqkidbooks.com. I'll have all this in the show notes. You'll be able to click on it. So, Jules, thank you so much. You're amazing. I'm so grateful that you came on today and shared so much wisdom and hope and strength with the audience. You're amazing.
Thank you for holding space and allowing my voice to be heard.
Of course. It's my honor. So everybody go follow Jules at Juls Bindi on Instagram. And Jules, don't leave me, but I'm gonna end the live stream. I'm gonna wrap this up. So everybody have a wonderful day, and we will see you very soon. Make sure you follow Jules. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.